co-host. I'm really looking
I
forward
am.
to today. And yeah, let's get started.
All right, thanks ever so much for that introduction, Alex, and welcome everybody. The subject for today is Don't Let the January Blues Get You Down. So we're going to have a presentation, and given that I'm now getting to grips with the technology, we're going to have a poll and we're going to have some breakout rooms. So fingers crossed that it all works beautifully. If it doesn't, well, it doesn't. We'll just come back to the main screen anyway, because I've got everything written down in front of me.
Do you want me to launch the poll now? Is that
no?
What you, oh,
no,
okay.
no.
Sorry,
Okay. Not till slide 3. Not till slide 3. But I did check it earlier. It is in there, so I know I can do it. What I'm going to say is this is all about the January blues, and this is a serious topic, and I'm going to cover it in depth. I'm not doing a lot of pink and fluffy stuff this morning. It's going to be factual, as well as then making some of it, I hope, lots of fun. But don't think this is just a bit airy-fairy, because it's not. Okay, right, I'm going to share my screen, fingers crossed. Right, can you all see that? Alex, can you see that? Yeah, okie dokie. So this is Don't Let the January Blues Get You Down. So let's start off with, what are the January blues? And then, why do we get them? How do they affect us? How can they affect your business? And then, what can you do about it? Okay, so what are the January blues? And they are the feelings that you get at the beginning of the new year and into very early spring. Sometimes it starts in December, sometimes it's a bit earlier, but it's generally end of the year, new year. And it's characterized by feeling slow, unenthusiastic, low, miserable, anxious, overwhelmed, wanting to hide away, and basically not feeling very good. So now we're going to come on to our poll. So I'm so excited about this, because the poll is, have you experienced any of these this year? Don't think about last year or the year before, this year, so this last couple of weeks. Have you felt any of these, which is about feeling low, finding it difficult to focus, wanting to hide away, feeling anxious, or none of these? So here we go with the poll, launching the poll. Off you go. Right, I think 10 out of 10, end polling. Right, I'm going to share the results. Right, can you see that? That's really interesting. 70% of you have said, yes, you've experienced something like that. But 3 of you, 30%, are absolutely fine. Well, that's grand, because we're going to be coming to you later if you identify yourself and find out what your secret is. Okay. So let's think about, why do we get the January blues? And there's some theories around this, and there's some science around it, and that's what we're going to be looking at. So, looking at the theories, we're going to start with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which was developed in about 1943. And you've probably seen this pyramid before. This was the best image I could get of it, so you may or may not be able to read what that says, but I'm going to go through it. Starting at the top, it's about self-actualization, the desire to be the most that one can be, followed by esteem, respect, status, recognition, strength and freedom. Love and belonging, which is about friendship, intimacy, family and a sense of connection. And then safety, which is about our personal security, our employment, the resources we have, which includes our finances, our health and our property, and our physiological needs, which is air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing and reproduction. So his theory starts at the bottom of the pyramid with what our very, very basic needs are. And it moves higher up to something that's slightly more intangible. And in terms of the physiological needs, it's the very, very basic stuff. We need food, we need water, we need rest, we need clothing and shelter. And these physiological needs, what Maslow says, is needs to be addressed before, as humans, we move on to the next need, which is safety. And so that includes protection from violence and theft, emotional stability and well-being. Obviously, I'm very interested in that. Health security and financial security. Be interested to say what the financiers amongst us have to say about that one. Moving up, then it's love and belonging, and this is about our need to have human interaction, and those are friendships, family bonds. That could be biological family, it could be extended family, chosen family, which is your spouses, your partners, your friends, and having some form of either physical or emotional, certainly emotional intimacy, ranging from a sexual relationship to an emotional bond, because it's really important to have a feeling of being part of either a group or a relationship or a community. So in terms of communities, it could be a social group. So it could be like this group. We are very much a working group, but we're a social group as well, and we very much support each other. It could be a club, so it could be a sports club, it could be a book club, it could be an anything type club. It's about being with other people in some shape or form. Then we have esteem needs, and this means that it's about self-belief, self-respect, the belief that you yourself are valuable and you deserve dignity, and you are confident in yourself for your own personal growth and your accomplishments. And some of this can be broken down in two ways. One is acknowledgement from others, but there's also acknowledgement for yourself, to have your own self-confidence, which is incredibly important. And certainly if we're feeling down, that's the first thing that goes, is your own self-confidence. And then right at the top, self-actualization. This is about your fulfillment. So this could be your education, skills that you have, the job that you have, what you like to do, how you want to broaden your horizons, where are you going forwards. So that's been around since 1943, so it's very, very well established. So the next thing we're going to look at is something called human givens. This hasn't been around quite so long. It's been about 20 years. And this is based on Maslow's theories. And it was developed by two psychotherapists in the UK about 20 years ago. And what it does is it adds in a lot of emotional needs. So this is all the things that we need to be happy, healthy and productive. And if we don't have these particular elements, particularly one of them, which we'll go through in a second, then we don't function properly. And it goes a long way to explaining why we feel down sometimes, and particularly at this point in the year and in our lives as we stand at the moment. Because we all need to be happy, healthy and productive, and this is all about what we need. And if we don't have them, then we don't function properly. So there are 9 of them. So our 9 essential emotional needs are security. So this is having a safe territory and an environment which allows us to develop fully. Attention. So this is about giving it and receiving it, and it's actually a form of nutrition. If we don't have any attention paid to us, we starve. If you look at some of the cases of child abuse in particular, children who were ignored as youngsters grow up to be adults with big problems, basically. Giving attention and love is really important. This one, sense of autonomy and control, is absolutely essential because it's about what control we have over our lives, what we're doing with our lives. And at the moment, obviously, that's not great. But it's also about being able to make sensible choices, responsible choices as to where we're going and what we're doing. And number 4 out of our 9 is about feeling part of a wider community. Again, it's always about a sense of belonging to something that's bigger than just us. So our next 5, we've spoken about emotional intimacy, to know that at least one person accepts us for who we are, warts and all. Privacy. We actually need to have our own space as well, and that gives us an opportunity to reflect on ourselves and then to consolidate everything else that's going on in our heads. So we do need some time out, some me time, to have that privacy as well as having the attention from other people. This is what makes us a rounded human being. We also need to have a sense of status, which is where we fit within the wider community, where we fit within our family groups or our friendship groups. Whereabouts are we? Are we part of the crowd? Do we lead them? Are we, in my case, the matriarch figure? Where do we stand? And we all need to know where we stand. And that's when, unfortunately, if somebody passes away who was, you know, the patriarch, the matriarch, the glue that holds families together, that's when things can really fall apart, because that person is really missed. But if you can see that the reason that we feel so bad is because that part of our human givens has gone. We also need to have a sense of competence and achievement, to know that, yeah, we're good at this, I can do this, and yes, I've achieved something. And to be honest, if any of the kids, you know, who are taking their exams, they achieve a good grade, they're all good power to them this year. They've had an incredibly difficult time, and they need to take those exams in order to give themselves a sense of achievement that they've got through all this and they've succeeded. And then the last one, which is again really important, having some sort of a meaning and a purpose to our lives. If our lives are meaningless and we don't know where we're going or what we're doing, that's when we start to become anxious and depressed. So we need to be stretched, basically, to give us room to grow. So I hope that makes sense. If you want to have further information on that, I've got a whole book on it. So let's think about what happens in January. This is any January. Well, Christmas is over. All the excitement's gone, all that anticipation has gone. And what have we got to look forward to? Well, we're all overweight because we've overindulged at Christmas. And yes, I put my hand up. Yeah, I had too much chocolate and too much wine, and now I'm trying to lose it. But also, don't forget, we get colds and flu this time of year anyway, whether it's COVID or not. Winter, it's, you know, the winter pressures on the hospitals are because elderly people in particular get sick, and there's always some form of a bug, let's not call it a virus, going round. So that tends to be happening in January. We're broke because we spent too much at Christmas, and January is a very long month, so we've got very little money. So let's think about our human needs. How are all those things affecting us? So we've got our physiological needs being affected in there, our safety needs, the attention element of it, as well as the control, the competence, and the anticipation. All those things are affected in January because of what happens in December and what happens at the beginning of the new year. And let's not forget there's something else that happens in January. The weather. Grey days, snowy days, miserable days when everything looks just grey. There's no natural light. It's very limited. It's dark in the mornings. It gets dark very early in the afternoon. And what we crave is the sunlight, because we need light to feel energized and to feel happy. So if you look at those two pictures, I picked them specifically so that one was grey and miserable and the other one does have some sunshine in it. And I'm sure the one that you've all got, oh yes, sunshine, really just lifts your mood slightly. So I'm going to go into the science bit of it now. Our mood and our energy depends on getting sufficient bright light during the day so that it signals to our bodies that we're awake and alert. And without this signal, our bodies can't distinguish between night and day. And we then don't have enough energy and we don't produce enough hormones to feel good. Now, the two hormones that are particularly important to you, I'm sure you've all heard of them, are serotonin levels, and they control our moods, and melatonin levels, which control our sleep. And it's interesting that studies have suggested that 1 in 5 of us experience a mild version of the winter blues. So going back to our numbers just now, 70% and 30%, it does look like quite a few people have experienced some form of winter blues, but not everybody did. Now, I'm sure you've all heard of this one, which is seasonal affective disorder, or known as SAD. And so SAD, obviously we talk about people feeling sad, and the term SAD has been around for a long time, but it does actually mean this particular disorder. And it's thought that about 1 in 20 people suffer from it, and it's actually classed as a mild form of depression. And it starts October through to March, when the nights are longer than the days, and particularly people living in northern climates, so people, you know, in the Arctic Circle, when we have poor weather, they can be very, very heavily affected. And getting enough daylight is actually really hard. And if there is insufficient natural light, and then if we're indoors all day with artificial light, then those indoor lights aren't bright enough to stimulate those biorhythms, stimulate the serotonin and the melatonin. So what does if you have seasonal affective disorder or think you have it, this is what it actually looks like. It's classed as having a persistent low mood, a loss of pleasure or interest in everyday stuff. You can see why it's classed as a mild form of depression. Irritability, feeling in despair, feeling guilty, feeling worthless, feeling lethargic, oversleeping a lot, lacking in energy. Sometimes it's about sleeping for longer than normal and then finding it hard to get up in the morning. You know how it is. The alarm goes off, you open the curtains and, oh, it's still dark. As opposed to in the summertime, you open the curtains, hey, lovely bright sunshine. You see where I'm coming from here? We also crave carbohydrates, and that's when we gain weight. And because we don't take enough exercise because it's cold, that's when the weight doesn't shift. So SAD seems to be brought on by lowered amounts of serotonin and losses in the chemicals that are triggered by sunlight means that this is the impact that it has on our bodies. And that leads to lethargy, leads to other depressive symptoms, and it messes with your biological clock, basically. So let's think about January 2021. Why is this year so much worse? Well, just watching the news this morning, the NHS situation, crisis point, operations being cancelled, people scheduled to have really serious operations for cancer have been cancelled or postponed. The financial situation, the high street is in crisis. The economy has shrunk again by a huge amount, so it means that everybody's in a pretty dire financial position. School meals came up again this morning. There are kids out there with not enough to eat. Now, if kids haven't got enough to eat, then they're not going to function properly, and we're getting back to starvation and poverty, which, you know, we all thought we got rid of years ago, but it's a real issue at the moment. The vaccine is being rolled out, but we're now, people are getting stressed because they haven't had it yet, or their elderly loved one hasn't had it. I have to say, my mum had her COVID vaccine yesterday, but she had to ring 3 times to the surgery to actually get it, and then one of her actual physio took her in. Otherwise, she'd still be waiting because they couldn't schedule a home visit. Now, that made me anxious, and it made her anxious as well. And I know that talking to friends and colleagues, a lot of very vulnerable people still haven't had that vaccine. So it's something else to give it stress. And the other thing, as Alex, who's now gone, and Zoe and everybody else with kids, homeschooling, not easy, very, very difficult to do. And I don't envy you at all. So that's one reason why January 2021 is worse. But thinking about this, we've got a loss of control here due to COVID, and that goes back to the human givens theory. It's really important that we have control. Anxiety and uncertainty, it's all around us at the moment, and this is part of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, is that we have certainty within our lives. A lack of anticipation, what have we got to look forward to? Human givens, that's another thing to think about. And the economy and financial worries goes back to both of those. So it's been compounded this year as to why we're all feeling much worse than we usually do. So how can this affect your business? Well, let's think about you, and if you've got any people working with you, if you've got any staff, sickness levels tend to rise, or you feel sick, and that means that you're not working, you're not as productive as you would be normally. A lot of people have got less energy. Your productivity may be going down, but also your clients, they're in the same position. They may be less productive. They may not be delivering on time. They may be saying, oh, we can't do that, I'm sorry, because so-and-so's off sick. And that then affects your business because it has a knock-on effect. So what can you do about it? Well, ideally, you could head off to the sunshine. Now, Jo Warren did this just before Christmas off. She went to Tenerife, sat on a meeting with us with a G&T in hand and showed us a picture of the sunset. So we were all highly envious. David Major went on a virtual circle ride around the world, sending us pictures of himself in all different places. So heading for the sunshine, great. Except we can't do that right now. And he can't go back to Portugal. Oh, Alex has gone. That's her favourite place. But here's some simple things that you can try. Get as much sunlight, natural daylight as possible. So this could be, you know, if you've got a garden, go for a walk around the garden at lunchtime. Even just get outside, breathe in the fresh air, and get as much sunlight as possible. Make your workplace, whichever room you're using in your house at the moment, make sure you've got natural daylight. If you're sitting in the cupboard under the stairs, you're not going to be feeling very good if you haven't got any sunlight coming in. If you can, sit near the window. And also, and we had this discussion in the group the other day on the coffee morning, take plenty of exercise where you can. So if you can walk or exercise outdoors, that's great. If you can't, there's loads and loads of videos, YouTube, exercise classes, dance classes, something to get yourself up and moving. Try doing those, because whilst you might feel a bit of a practice, you know, dancing around the living room, actually you'll feel a lot better afterwards. Something that gets your heart rate going is very, very good for you. And of course, we eat a healthy, balanced diet. And we all say, yeah, I do that. Yeah, I have loads and loads of fruit and veg. And then we say, yeah, but I just had to have that bar of chocolate because, you know, I'm depressed and I really need it. And then I'm just going to have a drink in the evening. So thinking about sticking to a healthy, balanced diet, allowing yourself a little treat, but don't go overboard with it. But your body will feel a lot better if you're getting plenty of fresh fruit and veg and cutting down on the carbs. Now then, the power of plants. Plants are actually really, really important. There's something called biophilia, which is where businesses incorporate lots and lots of plants and greenery, green walls, into their working environment. And the science shows that actually these are really popular and people do feel a lot better because greenery looks good and makes us feel good. Well, we can't all have a green wall in our homes, but we can get some pot plants. And the reason I'm saying this is because plants clean the air through photosynthesis. So as humans, we breathe in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide. But plants actually do the opposite, because they absorb light, they absorb carbon dioxide and water, and they manufacture that as sugar, and the chemical process creates oxygen. So if you have plants in your working environment, they are going to create more oxygen for you, and oxygen is one of our human needs to have good quality air. You know what it's like if it's a really cold day. You close the windows, you close the doors because it's cold, you put the heating on, and then you wonder why you're not feeling very well. It's because you're basically breathing in your own stale air. So if you open the window for a few minutes, let some light in, let some oxygen in, you'll feel a bit better. Another thing you can do, be aware of your own mood. This is really about self-awareness, and practice positivity. Now, if you want an example of positivity, the lovely Sandra Pollock, OBE, insists or really encourages all to practice positivity and gratitude. And gratitude is about thinking, what am I grateful for? It might be something very simple. I've got a roof over my head. I've got food in the cupboard. There are a lot of people who haven't got food in the cupboard. I have my family. I have my friends. You know, my house is warm. Some people's houses aren't very warm. So think about all the things that you are grateful for, and it will make you feel a lot better. Getting into a decent routine, particularly around bedtime, because you sleep, as we've looked at earlier, is really, really important. So having a routine whereby you start to wind down an hour or so before you're due to go to bed. You don't look at your phone all the time. You don't look at your tablet. You relax. You don't drink alcohol. Certainly don't have a heavy meal late at night. And when you get into bed, try and make sure that the room is cool, not cold, and dark, and you will sleep a lot better. But also in terms of positivity, find something to laugh about. Now, I know we all make jokes in the WhatsApp group, but actually just laughing at something. Some of those TikTok videos that people have put on are absolutely hilarious. And I know if I've watched them, I've gone back and watched some of them several times because I've just laughed so much, it's made me feel better. The one that, I can't remember who put it in the group now, the one of the nativity scene at Christmas where the little girl picked up baby Jesus and swung him around, that was just hilarious. And it really made me feel much happier because, again, that laughter does produce good hormones. And so read books that make you feel happy, watch TV that makes you feel happy, have some lovely family time. Even if you're not doing anything terribly exciting, it will make you feel happy to, most of the time anyway, to be with your family. The other thing to do is to talk to somebody. If you're not feeling great, it's okay to talk. Find someone that you trust to say, I'm not feeling that great today, because the chances are they're not feeling that great either. And if you don't talk to people, then you bottle it all up, and that, is not good for your own mental health. So join a group, something that's doing something upbeat. You could join a virtual choir. Singing is very, very therapeutic. You could do an exercise class online, something to make you feel part of something bigger than just you. And if you know what your stress triggers are, or your likely stressful situations, try and avoid them. Or if you know, well, this is going to happen, make sure that you don't book in anything else straight afterwards, so you can go and have a lie down and meditate or do some mindfulness for 5 minutes to get yourself over it. And that will help you manage your stress levels. The other thing you can do is watch nature programs. I don't know if you've seen, but Perfect Planet, the new David Attenborough series, is absolutely amazing because of the photography, and it shows something that is much bigger than ourselves. And try and find something that's, if it's a travel program, something that's set in the sunshine, Escape to the Sun or whatever it's called. Scenery makes you feel very good. You can also listen to summertime music. So if you're as old as me, you remember the Beach Boys, and all their music is very, very upbeat. Or whatever floats your boat from your own youth. Something that is upbeat, makes you want to dance, makes you want to sing, you will feel better. You can also, and I don't know if this is going to work, put on a sunny screensaver on your computer. Let's see if this is going to come up. Ah, hopefully. Can you see that? I hope you can. Can you hear it?
We can hear it, but not see it. It sounds beautiful.
Okay. What it is, it's just a YouTube of some nice sunny scenery. There's a lake, there's mountains, but it's the sounds as well that you can hear. Put something like that on in the background and it will just make you feel a bit happy because it lifts your mood. Now, this again comes back to the slightly more serious stuff. This is NICE, the National Institute for Clinical Excellence. And what they say is that SAD, or seasonal affective disorder, the treatment for that is very similar to depression. And treatment, if you feel you have it, you need to go and see your GP. The treatment that you can get is talking treatments such as cognitive behavioural therapy or medicines such as antidepressants. Now, this one is about light therapy, and NICE say the evidence isn't clear if it's actually effective or not, but a lot of people swear by it. And what you can do, you can get these off Amazon. These are therapy lamps. They're not terribly expensive, and you sit with them on and they produce, well, it's not sunlight, but it's certainly the rays that come out of them are the same effect as natural daylight. So they do make you feel better. And it's one of those things that if you believe in it, you believe in it. If you don't, then you don't. But it is there.
Now, just ask Jo, you've just mentioned you've got one of those, haven't you? Are you on mute?
I've got a Lumilight. I've used these they were recommended to me after I had CBT for SAD, because I really struggle with it, which is why I tend to go away in the winter. My mum did too. And I've had one of these Lumilights. They're not cheap, but they are very good. And I do find they make a huge difference. And if it's in the mind, who cares? It's the mind where the SAD is.
Yeah, but as long as it's working for you, that's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. That's really interesting. Hold on to that thought. Oh no, you're going in 10 minutes, aren't you? Okay, so let's think about how can you lessen the impact on your business. So it's about just being aware of your own feelings and the feelings of others around you. So that could be your team around you, your family around you, your friends, but also your clients. If your clients are feeling down, you know, you can perhaps reach out to them and say, you know, is there any way I can help? Have you thought about doing this, this, and this, and this? And taking a proactive approach, both to yourself and to others. And it may well be that other people haven't heard of seasonal affective disorder. They haven't heard of anybody who's got a lamp like the one that Jo's got. Just reach out to them, because if your clients in particular, if you've got suppliers, aren't functioning properly, that's going to impact on you. The other thing you can do, of course, being a wellbeing consultant, is have a wellbeing strategy introduced into your business. Now, this could be your own business, or if you've got clients with large numbers of staff, it could be introduced to them. Recommend it to them and send them to me to give them some help with that. So the next question for you, just out of interest, when is Blue Monday? Can you put your hand up if you know when Blue Monday is? Got a hand up from Jo. Alex says she knows. Okay. Jo, when do you think Blue Monday is?
I think it's the last Monday in January.
Okay. Alex, when do you think it is? Oh, she's gone. Never mind. Right.
Sorry, I thought it was this Monday coming up. Sorry, I was on mute.
Well, it is the third Monday in January, which is this coming Monday, January the 18th. So watch out, world. It's Blue Monday coming up, but now you've all got the strategies to address it. And lastly, just be aware of when you need some support, and it's okay not to be okay, because you are human at the end of the day. So here's my contact details for those of you who haven't got them. I'm sure most of you have by now. Whoops. And I'm going to finish there. Stop sharing. Right. What we're going to do now, I hope you enjoyed that. We're going to have some breakout rooms. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right. We've got